Welcome to our Lumos podcast, and my name is Iris Medina, and I'm happy to introduce today's guest, who has recently released his new book, Bankable Business Plan for Nonprofits. Dr. Edward G. Rogoff, he is the author of 100 publications and co-author of The Entrepreneurial Conversation. He is a professor and a former dean of the LIU Brooklyn School of Business. Before that, he was the Lawrence N. Field Professor of the Entrepreneurship and Chair of the Department of Management at the Baruch College in New York. He received a BA, MBA, MA, and PhD from Columbia University, where he wrote his thesis under the supervision of Nobel laureate William Vickering. Congratulations on your new book. Professor Rogoff, tell us about your new book.
So this book is called Bankable Business Plans for Nonprofits. It's been in the works for quite a while. About 15 years ago, I wrote a book called Bankable Business Plans because I had taught business plan courses in business school for quite a while, and I had used a lot of the books that were out there. I didn't like any of them. I thought they were incomplete. I thought they had some things that just were wrong. And so after I went through all those books, I thought, okay, I should write a book on this topic. And I did. It's called Bankable Business Plans, and it's been out for a while. It's gone into a second edition. And I've actually just finished an updated second edition, which will be out pretty soon too. And, but after that book came out, I got a lot of people who asked me, is there a similar book for nonprofits? Because Bankable Business Plans focused on businesses and raising money, getting bank loans, with the assumption that this was a profit-making business. And I have a lot of experience in nonprofits, and I really appreciate people who work in nonprofits and start nonprofits. Nonprofits are more complex, more difficult to run than businesses, and so many of the people who work in them and run them and start them are so committed to doing something good, and it's a beautiful thing. And so I thought, this was on my mind for a long time. I should do a version of this book, Bankable Business Plans for Nonprofits. So I started, making notes and throwing articles and files and all of this. And so last year, and I should say a little bit with the help of COVID quarantining, I finished this book, and it basically takes people through the process, either who are starting or growing a nonprofit, of developing a strategy, defining your market, thinking about how you're going to get money, and creating the sort of supporting materials like financial statements that either philanthropists or other donors or governments that might support your venture, your nonprofit venture, will want to see. So that's the purpose of the book, and I'm excited to see it get to the finish line. From my point of view, from the reader's point of view, it's the starting line. From my point of view, it's the finish line.
Congratulations again. What are some of the challenges that both independent authors and publishers face as they launch new titles?
Yeah. So I think actually in a way I just sort of hinted at what this is when you've written a book, it's taken you a long time. You've gone through a lot of revisions. You've, argued with yourself and with others about what should be in. You've gotten feedback. By the time you're finished with the book, it's the last book on earth you want to look at. And I'm at that stage with this book, right? So I'm very happy that it's done. But if someone said to me, oh, you need to add something to it, I'd say, oh no, please, I don't want to. I really need a break from this book. And so one of the challenges is that when you finish the book, you're really just starting the process of connecting with readers. And you need to sort of have mind shift, a focus on the fact that, okay, now you start the second stage, and where are you going to get the help for that? I'd say I'm similar to many authors. I'd rather write the book than promote the book. I think those are a bunch of the issues that you deal with when you get to this stage, and that's exactly the stage I'm at today.
With your book, you're using the tedBook technology. Can you tell us about this technology?
Yeah, so I think if you really want to do it right as an author, you really need to create a web page, a website that goes with your books. There's material that doesn't really fit in the book that you might want to share with readers. For me, it's interviews with experts, it's sample financial templates, some case studies, that I'd like to share with them. And if I created a website, um, it's an undertaking. It's an undertaking to create it. It's an undertaking to promote it. Am I going to advertise it? And so the answer is no, I'm not, because as I said a few minutes ago, it's like you're really like, you're worn out with this book. So someone says, okay, well, now create a website and supplementary materials and come up with a marketing plan. So what I like about the tedBook technology is it sort of takes a huge amount of that burden off my shoulders, and they do that. So I can do the fun part, which is interviewing some people for the book, recording those interviews, then they'll post them, they promote them. They've got this very cool feature, which we should talk about maybe in detail, where they create questions and answers from the book, and which is great for readers, but it's also great because it's searchable on Google. So once it's up, then somebody puts in a topic that you cover in your book. So for me, it would be raising money for nonprofits. So Google finds those FAQs and will send them to my book, or more likely to send them to my book. So there's just a lot of pluses about it, but mostly it takes a big burden off of my shoulders. And I'll concede I know a lot about business plans for nonprofits, but I don't know a lot about promoting books on the web. I don't know a lot about how to do the best listing possible on Amazon. So they do know that, and it just makes it so much easier.
How has the enhanced Lumos book listing improved visibility to the content of your book?
So this book listing really opens up the content of the book to the listing, the search functions on Google, other search engines, and Amazon, without me having to create 200 search terms and figure out that system. And for Google, you really need to have content. You just can't put the words in. Google is really looking for some meat, and I think that's the right way to do it. But the tedBook technology creates that in minutes, and then that really gets you going, raises your profile, and and increases your sales.
Wow. So this technology gives the reader the information they're looking for, directs them to your book, gives them quick, fast access to information. So this is awesome as well. How does the enhanced Lumos listing help authors and publishers sell more books?
Yeah, so, I think this is correct. There are now 2 million books a year published. It's like a staggering, it's just an unbelievable number of books that are published. So as the technology for publishing books has gotten easier, print on demand and, having, basically giving Amazon a a book, a digital book, and then they can sell it as a Kindle or as a printed book or hardback or whatever, so it just has lowered the barriers to people who want to publish books, who want to write books and publish books. So from an author's point of view, you're competing with thousands of titles that are related to what you've written about. So you need an edge. You can't just say, well, I'm going to, build it and they will come kind of approach, right? So, and I've seen people who do this, they just say, oh, my book is so special. It really covers things that nobody else covers. You know what? Nobody's book covers things that nobody else covers. There's always ways to find this. I think, my book is unique in some ways, but if but people wrote business plans for nonprofits for decades before this book existed, and they'll continue to write them without this book. So, there's just always competition, and you need an edge. You need to get high on that search list. You need to get targeted for having relevant information. So there's just, you need to connect with your readers. One thing I haven't really spoken about is, because I'm sort of in the marketing frame of mind at the moment, but once the book is out there, the TED technology has a QR code system. So on the second page of the book is a QR code, and it takes the reader to my supplementary materials instantly. And this is fantastic for the reader, because now it gives them extra things, videos or templates or, financials, and et cetera, like I talked about. But from the author's point of view, it collects the data on who these people are. So now I know who's been to my site, and who's, who bought the book, who use the QR code to access the supplementary material. And now I can start a quarterly newsletter about nonprofit business plans, or about anything, about topics related to nonprofits or philanthropy, or anything, that I think that these readers would find interesting. There's no other way an author has to know who his or her readers are and how to connect with them. I mean, this is like, from when I heard about this, I went, oh my God, this is like fantastic, because, somebody buys your book in a bookstore, they walk out, the Barnes and Noble or the bookstore or Amazon knows who they are, but you have no idea who they are. And they're really buying this book to hear from you, but you're the last person who has any access to their information. But the tedBook technology and the QR code system allows me to create create a family among my readers, and maybe they can share among themselves. I mean, I think this will be something I'll explore along the way. I can post a blog there, they could post blogs there. I can recommend other resources that they can use. Maybe I could do webinar programs for free or even paid. So I think there's just a million options once you know who they are. Wow, this is like the greatest, I can't stop talking about this. This is the greatest enhancement for an author. I don't have to advertise on magazines or on trains to connect with my readers. I can just do it by sending them an email.
That's amazing. Just to be able to communicate with your readers.
When I update that material, so suppose I do, another interview with somebody, then I can send people a text or an email message and say, oh, I just posted an interview with so-and-so who's a great expert on some topic. And, if you're interested, here's, go back to the tedBook site and watch it. And it's just, it's fantastic. So, it's really a way to build a community, which is an author's dream.
I think so. Yeah, it certainly is. Professor Rogoff, how easy or difficult was it to integrate the tedBook QR code into your book?
It was nothing. I did nothing. I just said I'd like to have I'd like to be a part of this system. They put the QR code in, the website functionality is all there. From my point of view, it really took nothing. I mean, so far I've done 10 interviews with people, and I've sent them to the tedBook people and say, here, put this in my website and link it to chapter X. And that's it. That's the last I have to do with it. And then it's there. And so it's there's no programming, there's no work, there's really nothing. It's extremely, extremely, extremely easy, and it allows me to focus on what I do, which is create the content, not create the software.
What type of supplemental resources are you offering to your readers via tedBook Online Access?
Yeah, so I thought, this is new to me, so I can't say I have the absolute answer to this question. I thought from the beginning that video content would be good, right? Obviously, books don't have video content, so if I could add video content, so that's why I'm doing these interviews. I've done these interviews, and I think that's really adds a lot. These are highly experienced people who are experts in their subjects, and they go into depth in areas beyond what the book covers. It's really an enhancement. But I've thought about other things, doing a podcast, doing webinars, as things come up. So for example, I mean, as everybody knows, COVID has changed the world, and it's really made things difficult for nonprofits, harder to raise money, harder to get people to events. People are worried about money, so they're not as philanthropic as they were before. So there's many issues that they're dealing with. And I thought, look, I could create a program on specific strategies for coping in a post-COVID, current COVID, or God willing, a post-COVID world, and do a panel, bring a few people together, and with the idea of creating 20 or 25 specific ideas that nonprofits could learn from and maybe implement themselves on fundraising and earned income initiatives for their own nonprofit. So I've sort of focused on that video content, and then financial templates is a big deal for business plans, and the book has a number of tables. So, and the tables require filling things in. Well, if you fill things in on the book, you do it once and that's it. You can't fill it in again. So the tables are posted on the TED site. And so any reader of the book who says, yeah, I need to, here, let me download this in an Excel format or a Word format, they can do that. So I think there's a lot of ways. I think I have a lot to learn. And I'm looking forward to sort of experimenting with what I put up on that site and seeing what readers react to. What do they ask for? What do they seem to appreciate? What do they return to visit? I mean, these are all the tools that really um, marketing companies use the web for that have been off limits for authors. So this makes it, possible for authors to play like the big boys.
It's great that your readers get more interactive and updated content online. How does it help you engage with your readers?
I can see what they're looking at. So if I've loaded 25 things onto the website that they can access, I can see which ones they really are accessing and how often and how long they stay with it. I've got all those metrics that go with websites. And so this will direct me into what they're interested in. And it allows me to experiment. I can post some things and see if this attracts them, if they spend time with it. I have a feedback page. They can tell me this was helpful or not. And now I could change it to make it more helpful to them. So it just continues to allow me to build my relationship with my readers and to make this into a good resource.
Professor Rogoff, thank you so much for sharing this knowledgeable information regarding the tedBook technology. Wishing you much success and hoping that you can come back again and share some more information with us.
Yeah, I think in a couple months after I've got more experience, it'll be interesting to see how it's gone. So Iris, thank you so much.
Thank you.